You are recognized for 5 minutes for questions. Welcome back.
It is a pleasure to be with you today. This is actually a really exciting time in American history and in technologies. You can see how drones are changing the world, but we are going back to some technologies that we've had in the past that we thought we sorted out. Before I was born, or at least about the time I was born, we were getting people out in outer space, and then, of course, what we did was get somebody to the moon. And I remember what a big deal that was. And now we're talking about landing things up there unmanned. We had some difficulties, some challenges. The first question I want to ask, and it's kind of a general question to all three of you at the end, is why all of a sudden with all the automation, all the technology, we have more in our phone than we had with the entire computer system of that same era. Why is it more difficult now when we have competitors in India, for example, landing on the dark side of the moon for less than $1 billion? It's crazy, for a lot less, as a matter of fact. What are we doing wrong that we can do better in this competitive market, this ultra-competitive market that we have now?
Well, I think first is the budgets are very different. So when we went back to Apollo, there was a massive, large, multi-100,000 workforce that was making that technology possible. So it's a different scale. So I think we're succeeding with smaller scale missions at a tiny, tiny fraction of what we did for Apollo, and having large outsized impact for that. And we are building on the shoulders of the giants of the technology that was created then. I mean, landing legs are almost exactly the same as they were then. Some of the same landing algorithms and approaches are used. Similar sensors are used. So we're building on top of that. But I think the key part that we are all trying to innovate at is doing it at a price point that has never happened before. And we're talking an infinitesimal fraction compared to the Apollo era for these landings. So that's really the challenge that we're about, is trying to do something that we've already done, but at a tiny, tiny fraction of the cost. Do
you think part of the problem is that the humans still can outperform a computer when it comes to that fine-tuning of landing an aircraft without tipping it over, for example? I'm a pilot. I'm a helicopter pilot. So I understand how minutia, the overcorrection factor, the human factor of just being able to see real-time what's happening and adapt to that environment. Is that something that we're still adapting to?
Teaching a lander to do that is challenging, and one of the biggest challenges is the test environment itself. When we fly out to the moon, you can't fly it again. You can't just reset it. So when we're flying, it's one-off chances. That's why we've seen some of these challenges. We get one chance to get it right, and because of our very low-cost budgets, we're trying to find that sweet spot of performance and cost to get the greatest out value for the taxpayer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We've been given an incredible challenge under CLIPS to fly roughly for $100 million to regions of the moon that have never been explored before and do it totally autonomously. So we're flying in regions that are jagged, cratered, undulating, in the shadows, and expecting to do that without a constellation of navigation satellites, bringing your own navigation to the surface, automation, and landing with precision. If you recall, the Apollo program was built on the Mercury and Gemini programs, followed by the Apollo program, with a precursor program much like CLIPS called Surveyor. There were numerous failures along the way as we did that. It did not come easily. The masses that we're talking about, taking roughly 130 kilograms of payload to the surface on a small lander, the Surveyor missions carried 6 kilograms, and were mostly structure and powered radars for touching down on the moon. So it is a different technology, and we're asked to do it in a very thin margin and a very thin schedule and demonstrate that it can be done reliably. So that's kind of the essence of the difference in my mind.
Thank you, Congressman, for the question, and thank you for your service. I'm a veteran myself. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, I'd like to focus on what went right. On Firefly's Blue Ghost 1 mission, we successfully landed. We were able to do 14 days of planned lunar surface operations, and we even extended in 5 hours into the lunar night. And we did this because one example is not just the bold culture at Firefly and our people, but also taking new technology, advanced technology from other industries. Our vision navigation system was from the farm industry, and it was converted to do lunar navigation, and we avoided 2 hazardous obstacles and landed within 1 meter of our new landing site, all autonomously. I also believe in autonomy. That's the only way we're going to scale for lunar exploration, Mars exploration, and beyond, but also for national security. We cannot just have a one-to-one relationship between humans operating satellites in space in order to scale and also lower latency, because the future fight is going to be real time. You need autonomy.
I agree to the point. Well, I will always say it gets a little scary when you talk about autonomy and defense. I happened to watch that documentary, The Terminator. It kind of scared me a little bit. So I want to be careful with the autonomy and defense and killing machines, because we've seen what that happens. And if I could just make one final point, it's interesting. Back in the day, you're right. We had these massive budgets provided by NASA and the United States government. We're going against the Russians. We're the only two countries that could do anything like that. And we were the forefront of computer development, space travel, all those things that are so important. Now we're going to spend much more money on just interest payments on our debt. And that's why it's simple. I'm going to get political just for a second. If we don't do something to get our books in order, it's only going to be the private industry that does all the things that we used to do as a country, and that's really too bad. Thank you. With that, I yield.